Del, I wanted to ask you about your interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson, because when I saw him show up in your studio, I couldn't believe it. Funny enough, Neil was he was probably my first big guest on London Real, like 10 years ago, when he was coming through, and he had just done a reboot of Carl Sagan's Cosmos or something on National Geographic.
Right.
And I had pulled all my cameras and stuck them in a bag and went to a hotel room in London, and I got to sit down with the Neil deGrasse Tyson at the time. And it's actually in my TED Talk that I did a year later, I put a picture of him on the screen of me and him in the hotel room where he's kind of bear hugging me after the interview. And I made a joke, and I was like, I was checking his Twitter feed to see if he retweeted it. And the picture he put up was him taking a selfie with Obama at the White House. And I always joked that maybe he had better things to do than tweet our picture. And so I had him back on the show a few months ago, and it was great to see him show up at your studio. What was that like to have someone who is a scientist through and through in your studio in person, ready to have a conversation with you? You seemed pretty shocked that it was happening. And then I'm curious, how did you feel afterwards?
Well, for those of us that are really been in this health freedom movement or vaccine risk awareness space, if you will, the one thing we have been asking for is a debate. If we're wrong, then tell us how we're wrong. Come out in public, get in front of a camera. I've had an open invitation to all the luminaries in the vaccine space, whether it's Dr. Paul Offit. Every year I reach out to him again and say, Paul, love to have you on the show. I'll treat you with respect. Just really want to, get your perspective. And he's always nice back. Thank you for the offer. I will decline. And that's been the case. We even had several years ago, before COVID, we had set up a debate. I want to say it might have been in Nashville or somewhere like that, but we had rented a theater. We had 6 doctors and scientists that were prepared to defend the vaccine, the childhood vaccine program, and we had 5 or 6 people on our side. And literally 2 days before, those doctors said they'd been contacted by the AMA and other government officials and told they were not to take part in that debate. So there's this history of the scientists, if you will, that support this vaccine program believe that they're winning by forfeiting the game. I don't understand it. I don't understand, how it is they think they can get away with it. And in fact, Rogan, in an interview with Peter Hotez, who's another one of these luminaries, asked him, why don't you debate Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? And he said, well, I don't want to legitimize his perspective. And Rogan said, this perspective is now being held by, it looks like, he said something to the fact that it's being held by a large percentage of humanity now. I think it's legitimized itself. Certainly, you've got to come to the table. So I say all that as the backdrop. No one from a pro-vaccine side will ever come and debate one of us. So when Neil deGrasse Tyson was making very strong statements about his support of vaccinations and said that we had all, by being born in America, signed on to a social contract, that he had no problem that we were going to be forced to take that vaccine. That was, a shocking statement. And so I put out a tweet saying, Neil, I think you're wrong on some of these points. I'd love to have this debate in studio. And to his credit, of all the scientists, and there's a lot of them that I've reached out to, he said, okay, I will do that. And I really want to honor him for that. So he did. He came into the studio. He's a very wonderful, nice guy. I have appreciated him in all that I've watched him do when it comes to his work in astronomy, and Cosmos was a brilliant success. I think what I liked about that interview, and one of the things I really try to get across to my audience, is there is a civil way to have this conversation, and that it doesn't need to be combative. And that was not my goal, was not to make him look stupid or anything like that. I also showed, and it's a very long interview, and I know, and this is one of the things I do with the highwire, and I want to thank Joe Rogan and really you for your long-form approach towards conversation that we were told when I worked at CBS and was winning an Emmy Award would never work, that people need things in short sound bites. And so when we have these opportunities, I really wanted to show people the real time that it takes when I am successful with a loved one or a friend or a doctor. When I've been successful in those conversations, it's not a 10 or 15-minute conversation. I really need to ask them a bunch of questions to get a full understanding of why they're holding the position that they are. And through those questions, you're handed, little arrows for your quiver, if you will, that you can now turn back on them and say, well, when you talked about the scientific method, which was something he brought up, and you said it's critical that any theory or any hypothesis or product or new product in science should be challenged, he said, in any way possible, by any way that can possibly challenge it. And if it overcomes those challenges, then and only then must it be established as, proven science. And then later in the interview, I pointed out that you said it should be challenged from every side. The COVID vaccine was challenged by the leading heart doctor in the world, Dr. Peter McCullough, not some floozy, not some crystal ball, rubbing hippie, the leading, most published heart doctor in the world. He was the most published doctor on the COVID virus in the world at the moment. He started speaking out about the dangers of the vaccine and the fact that he believed he was seeing evidence that was causing myocarditis and heart issues. I said you had Dr. Robert Malone that invented the COVID vaccine. Invented the mRNA technology for vaccination that was being used in this product. These weren't just outsiders that were literally censored. Their LinkedIns were shut down. They were censored. You had all of the doctors that put together the Great Barrington Declaration with Scott Atlas. You had Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, Sunetra Gupta, Martin Koldorf. These are all Oxford, Harvard, Stanford scientists, leaders in their departments that came out and said, there's a better way to handle this science. We shouldn't be locking people down. And I said, Neil. And all Neil wanted to say was, I went with the consensus. I believe in the consensus. And I basically say, you never had a consensus. What you had was a bullying scientific proposition by a few people with no evidence whatsoever to back up their claim. And now we know their claims were lies when they said it stopped transmission.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public. And he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. I'm looking for partners, collaborators, colleagues who want to join forces with me around the globe and create real value, generational wealth, and financial freedom for everyone else around the world. Get involved in the cryptocurrency markets, get involved in the NFT markets. This is your moment. Life all comes down to a few moments. Don't let this pass. Now it's not too late. Next year's going to be too late. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it. This is about giving power back to the people and enabling billions of people worldwide to use the financial markets to improve their lives and those of their friends and their families and their communities. Honestly, I think it's a violation of human rights not to allow people basic access to financial services. Because right now people are being kept in the dark, they're being robbed of education, and it's a travesty. And so I'm looking for people that want to join me and be a part of this solution. And that all happens inside the DeFi Academy. The gains my students are making are absolutely amazing. Double, triple digit gains in the first month alone. That's amazing. This will change your life. Now is the time to get involved. I'm gonna tell you exactly how my students in my academy made money in the last 30 days. I'm talking about real trading results. And let me just whet your appetite a little bit. Let me hit you with some numbers. I'm talking Brendan from New Zealand is up 68.77% on the month. Steve from Europe up 83%. Albert in Singapore up 169.9% on one single trade. I got Susan up 153% on her call options alone, also rocking 139% returns and 442% returns as well on individual trades. These are people that are changing their financial future in the last 30 days, but it's based on trading discipline. I've graduated over 500 students from inside my academy from over 54 countries around the world. It's amazing. When it comes to crypto, DeFi, and blockchain, we love this space. We truly believe it's the future. This is down to our core. It's authentic to what we're doing, and everybody can tell through the camera because you can't make this stuff up. If you're watching me now, wherever you are, I implore you, take 60 seconds right now and join my academy. Apply today. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. What are you gonna do? What's the choice that you're going to make?